Hi, I'm Mitch Shoemaker, and today is day 11 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on my writing. So, yay for day 11. That means I have 89 days to go. Yay! I always get excited about things like that. Today I am attempting to do something a little bit differently. A little bit. Baby steps, baby steps. I have been talking about trying to change my schedule around, and I was talking to my friend today about it because I have this problem where I either start writing and then I get too engrossed in my writing and don't go to work, or I go to work and then I have to leave work early to do my writing, or I just don't get up early enough to write before I go to work. Anyway, it's me struggling to try to find a balance. And so today, my friend suggested that maybe instead of trying to flip everything overnight, which is what I do, I try to do the whole all or nothing thing, and I'm going to start my new schedule, and then it doesn't work, and then I just kind of give up and I just do what I've been doing because it pseudo works. Except that I'm still really tired and it keeps pushing my schedule further and further behind, and eventually it'll get flipped around the way that I want it to, but only because I keep staying up all night. Except that my Sundays kind of, because I don't work Sundays and I have church Sundays, it kind of flips me back the other way. So it kind of just stays in a messed up schedule. Um, and I keep thinking I need to change my schedule. So today I attempted to do things a little bit differently. I did get up later like I always do, but then I chose to do work on my story for a little bit. I spent a little over an hour doing that, a little longer than I thought I was going to, maybe closer to 2 hours, and it should have been an hour. Having a hard time stopping myself. Also having a hard time deciding where I want my story to go. I have more ideas. I was taking a shower and came up with more ideas, and then I was trying to decide if I wanted to write that new chapter I was coming up with, or if I wanted to go back through and do the old stuff. And then I started reading through some of the old stuff to try to figure out where to put stuff, and I was just bouncing ahead and making chapter headings and chapter titles for whatever, and then realizing, like, okay, I don't even know exactly what these chapters are actually going to be, and I'm probably gonna have to take them from somewhere else, and all of my stuff ends up being brand new. Even the stuff today I was reading, I'm like, okay, I like this stuff, I'm gonna use this stuff, and I read it through it, and then I just rewrote it, rephrased it, whatever, and I was like, and I'm gonna end up just deleting all old stuff anyway. So um anyway, I only got through about half of my next chapter, and I haven't decided if it's going to be chapter 12 or chapter 13. Because I think I want to do another chapter with one of my characters, and I was going to stick it in between chapter 11 and 12, or 11 and 13. And now I'm thinking maybe I'll do it after, so it'll be chapter 13 instead of chapter 12. I can't decide which way I'm going to do chapters 12 and 13, but I don't think it really matters which order they go in because it's two different. The story is happening not necessarily simultaneously, but it's basically happening in two different parts of the kingdom, two different sets of characters, things like that. So it's not happening. It's just if I put it in the between, it kind of breaks up the storyline of the other characters. If I put it after, then the storyline of those characters kind of stays the same, and it jumps back to this person's storyline. So it's kind of a not necessarily a moot point, but kind of, because it doesn't really matter. I can decide that later. If it doesn't flow one way, I can flip it around and make it flow the other way. That's the beauty of writing, is I can keep changing it until it works, until it fits, until it flows. And there's always a way to reword it, rewrite it. It'll never be done if I keep doing that. So at some point, I have to just stop and say, okay, it's good enough, and it's going to my beta readers. Okay, it's good enough, it's going to my editor. I gotta find me an editor, but it's gonna be good enough and go into an editor, and then it's gonna be good enough and it's just gonna get published because I'm not gonna. At some point, I have to stop. I just have to stop because I can always find something else in the story to improve. But I did have one friend that was reading it, and he was like, I can't imagine this story being any different than it is. And I was like, oh man, you have no idea how many different versions of this story. And he's not reading the Fall of Espiglogia that has the most versions, because it is the first book that I ever actually wrote all the way through, start to finish. So it will probably only be the third book that I get published at this point. But it was actually the first book I ever wrote. So anyway, I did do some work on that. And of course, my friend was asking me today, like, what my writing process is. And I'm like, oh, it's so different. It all depends on what I'm doing, what I'm working on. Mostly I think it is when I sit down to write, I just sit down and I come up with the ideas in the story. But sometimes my brain goes to different parts of the story, so I bounce around a little bit. I have different random sections or versions, ideas of different stories, and then if I write them down on paper and I don't pick them up, or if I don't type them up when I'm thinking about them, I vaguely remember, but I can't remember the whole storyline. And then I get to that part, I'm like, yeah, and I end up writing something completely different because I can't remember what I wrote originally. Or I write up something originally, but then it doesn't flow with the rest of the story, so then I have to tweak it so it flows with the rest of the story because of where it ends up. Like, I think when I wrote Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers, I actually wrote, like, I thought it was chapter 5, and it ended up being like chapter 6 or chapter 7 because I wrote like chapter 1 and 2, and then I was like, oh, I have this other chapter, so I just stuck it in there, and I thought it was going to be like 1 chapter away or something, and it ended up being like 3 chapters down, and then I still had to make some tweaks, adjustments to it so that it actually flowed with the rest of the story. So I, I go all over the place. And with The Fall of Esplandia, I have, like I said, over 20 different versions, and I'm trying to find the most, current versions of that book that I can go back and read, the old versions, to try to draw from, to keep the same characters, the same plot line, the same story line, but trying to condense it a little bit and trying to do it from just 3 characters' points of views. So not that I necessarily want to take anything away from the story, which means, like I said, I have to add some more, thinking about adding more story for the one character. Can't decide where to add it, but add it because now it's from his point of view, and realizing that a lot of the story is from his point of view. I realized that today. I'm like doing chapter 12, and 6 of the chapters are from this one character's point of view, and the other 6 chapters have alternated between the 2 other characters that I have, and I was like, oh, so it's really that character's story. Interesting. It really is. I could possibly write it entirely from his point of view, which I had not previously thought about. That might work a little bit. It might. Actually, that's kind of weird. Odd. It would take away from all the other... Yeah, interesting. Interesting thought processes in my brain. I don't want to give away my entire story, so I don't necessarily want to rewrite the entire thing all over again either, but I could, my brain is processing, I could try to figure out how to write the entire thing from his point of view. I would have to take out all the other stuff that's in there, though, like all of the other stuff and all of the other characters, and kind of really attached to all of my other characters. So I think I'm going to keep it the way that it is with my 3 different characters' points of views for this book, and try to get through the book and see how it ends up finished or whatever. And then I can decide if I want to go back and take out the other people's points of view, if I want to add more details to this character's point of view to make everything from his point of view. Because it's really kind of his point of view, maybe his brother's point of view that I'm not doing, because I've had a few people tell me that they don't like stories from the antagonist's point of view. Is it the antagonist or the protagonist? The bad guy's point of view. I don't even remember. See, I'm bad with these name things. I'm like, the bad guy's point of view. Because I do have some ideas from the bad guy's point of view, and I don't necessarily have a problem writing from his point of view, but I chose not to for the story, so I had to do it from someone else's point of view to make it, to compensate for the bad guy's point of view. So every time I want something that with the bad guy in it, I either have to do the other character or that character. So it's just kind of one of those back and forth things. Anyway, still a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. My book's a work in progress. My book will get finished in my lifetime, I hope. I may or may not. I don't know. Anyway, I ramble, I prattle, I whatever. Anyway, after I spent a couple hours working on my book, which was a little too long, but still good, I did spend like another hour beta reading for my friend's book. Interesting story she's got going there. I don't know what happened today. I think she's actually going back through and looking at some of the comments, because I had it all set to where I left off the chapter I was on, and it went back to chapter 1, and I was like, no, it started over. I don't do Google Docs, so I don't know how that works. And then I had it set to like mark all of my editing, and then I realized that I was making changes and it wasn't tracking my changes, and I was like, no, I have to go back and fix this now. I'm like, what is it doing? So I think my friend was just going back through and looking to see what changes I'd made to her book and deciding what she wanted to fix on it or something. I don't know. I'm like, yes, I'm a slow reader. It's going to take me a while. I'm probably not even halfway through her book. I don't even know how long her book is. I hit her chapter 8 of her book, but if her book's like mine and it's like 18 to 24 chapters, it's going to be a long book. I got a ways to go. It's going to take me a while. I'm trying to do 1 to 2 chapters a day to just kind of read her book, which, half an hour to an hour is not bad, And if I do that with my Lanoya book, when I finish with this one, I can do that one. But it may take me the entire time beta reading her book that it takes me to rewrite the Fall of Espanglanja, and then I'm going to have to figure out what I'm doing with my writing time after that. So ideally, I would be up at 10 and doing my writing from like 11 to 3, and I would have 4 hours to spend on all of this, and that would be fantastic. And I could go to work from like 3 to midnight, and I could come home and journal and go to bed by 2 o'clock in the morning. That is my ideal schedule. As of today, I got up at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Awesome. That is and I have not written in my journal because I've not gone to work yet. I am going to work when I am done with this video. And hopefully this video will load, because the last 2 days my video has taken like multiple hours to load. I talked to my friend yesterday and she's like, I was getting worried that your video didn't load. I was like, dang, I posted that thing at 3:30 in the morning before I went to bed, and it didn't post until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was really weird. And then I did it like at 5 o'clock this morning, the other video. And I don't know, it posted like 3 hours before I got up. So it still took it, too many hours, like 3-4 hours to post. I don't know why my phone is being so weird in doing that. However, oddly enough, when I'm out working and I take my phone with me, the video seems to load in like 10 or 15 minutes, even though it says it's going to take an hour. So we might get 2 videos today, not because I'm doing it 2 consecutive days in a row, because to me this is still the next day. Last night, this morning was still last night to me, because I work nights, basically. Like I said, I get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, I go to bed at 5 o'clock. I get up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I go to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's my current schedule that I'm trying to change to where I go to bed at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I get up at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm basically about 3 hours behind schedule, which fits because it's about 6 o'clock right now, or about 6 o'clock when I started this video. So I'm about 3 hours behind my schedule. So if I were to do this schedule regularly, that would work. But it does mean I'm going to be out later tonight working than I probably want to be. So I will still not be going to bed until 5 o'clock in the morning. But at least I'm flipping things to where I'm doing my writing and my video before I go to work. And then I just have to come home and write in my journal and get something to eat and go to bed, which is ideal. So I'm trying to at least get it in the correct order. And then as I do that, I can try to do what my friend says and go to bed like maybe a half an hour earlier, and then get up like a half an hour earlier and do that for a couple of days, and then do half an hour. And I might do it for a whole week. I've got 89 days to figure this out, right? Before I have to start adding something else to my life. But I think if I can be a little bit more consistent, and even if I'm just doing it, I think she said hour increments, but I'm thinking half an hour, because I could do half an hour because it doesn't feel like it's that big of a difference. So if I can start half an hour earlier and half an hour earlier, get up at 12:30 instead of 1. So my goal tomorrow is to get up at 12:30 instead of 1 o'clock. I might actually have to set an alarm to do that, because I have not been setting an alarm, which might help me to be a little bit more consistent with when I get up. I may still hit the snooze button like 3 times before I get up, so I may still not get up that half an hour, but I'm going to try. And I think as I keep trying to do that, it will help me, because basically I want to try to give myself enough hours of work to make enough money to pay the bills, but I still want to have the time to do my writing. And I don't want to be like so tired at the end of the night that I'm just typing whatever and just like, okay, I'm just going to go to bed and I don't even know what I'm doing with my story, because I just have to make myself do it. I like feeling like I have a little bit more time to think about it. But again, I was kind of nervous today watching the clock, like, okay, at a certain time I have to stop. And I still went over the time that I wanted to, and I still didn't even finish typing up my whole chapter. But I mean, part of it was because I was just reading some of the other stuff, and then I was kind of jumping ahead, which I do, trying to figure out, because there's so much good stuff. I'm like, oh, this can go in this chapter, this can go in this chapter. This is how they're like figuring out the rest of my book. Because, like I said, the book is already written or was already written. So it's easy to just go through it and be like, okay, this is the order everything's going to be. And then I was debating whether or not I'm going to sit there and copy and paste and stick everything in those individual chapters. But I know when I get to those chapters, they're gonna have to be changed. They're gonna have to be rewritten. And I just haven't decided if I want those things to be there yet or not. And maybe the flow of the story will change as I add other stuff. And maybe it'll be exactly like that. And I'm just going to have to change the writing style, and I'm going to have to change the perspective from whichever character's point of view. And then I was trying to make it even, like how many chapters each character has a point of view from for my 3 characters. Because, you know, if there's 24 chapters, divide that by 3, they each get 8 chapters. I've already used 6 for one of my characters. And I was like, which means he only gets 2 more chapters. That might not work. You might need more than 2 more chapters. I don't know. I don't know if I have, you know, and I've used like 3 for each of the other 2 characters, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they each have like 5 more chapters. I don't know if the story is going to end up being more with them or more with the other character, because again, I originally wrote it from every single character's point of view, and there's like over 20 characters in my book, so there's over 20 characters' points of views just to move the story to where I wanted it to be. So the story was the main character in my book, not the characters that were speaking around it. So now I'm having to change it to the characters being, you know, the main point of the view, their story, and not the story itself. So a lot of changes, but I think they're good changes. I think it's positive changes. I hope it's positive changes. And I'm trying again to just do my video after my writing, which I hope does not deter me from journaling, because I have liked the past 10 days. I have liked, I guess it's only been 9 because I did do a day later on my journaling. But I have liked writing in my journal and being able to get new insights from journaling off of my writing onto my videos. So it's been kind of nice to do my writing and then my journaling and then my video kind of all consecutively that way. But this is breaking it up a little bit, because now I'm doing my writing and my video, and then I'm going to go to work and write in my journal, and then I will do my writing and then my video. So my journal comments, if I have any, will be a day later from this point forward, I think. I hope, if I stick to this schedule. And this is a schedule I felt impressed that I needed to do, and I've been feeling like I needed to do it for weeks now. Like even before I started doing my writing, I felt like this was a schedule I needed to do, and I've just been struggling to do things in this order. So today I just felt like I really need to do that, but I'm like, how am I supposed to do that when I'm up and I'm ready to go? And by the time I'm ready to sit down and write, because I've got up, dressed, showered, read my scriptures, meditationals, talked to my friend, getting something to eat, it's 3 o'clock, it's time to go to work. And I've done that, and I just go to work, and then I get home from work, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I have to still do my writing, and I still have to write in my journal, and then go to bed, and then I'm not getting up until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and my schedule is not working. So I don't know how much better this is going to work, but I'm going to try it for a while and see if I can't start just half-hour increments, doing a little bit half-hour earlier. So maybe tomorrow I'll go to work half an hour earlier. I'll get up half an hour earlier, and maybe in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to just every couple of days or a couple of weeks or whatever, I can do that half hour earlier until I get to where I'm wanting to be, getting up at 10 and doing my day the rest of the day. And some days I do that, which is great, except that I basically am still going to bed at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, which means I'm only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep for the day, which is not good, because then I'm just kind of running myself into the ground and I'm wearing myself out, and it makes it harder for me to want to do these things that I'm doing. Or I did this once years ago where I had like 10 things I wanted to do for 30 days. And it probably took me 3 or 4 months to actually do all 10 of those things. But I pushed myself and I went without sleep and I was totally exhausted, and I finally did it for the 30 days. And when the 30 days was up, I was like, that's it, I'm done. I ain't doing this anymore. I'm done. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to incorporate this into my life as a new habit, as a new part of my lifestyle, something that I want to continue to do. Because I have tons of story ideas. I'm not going to run out of story ideas or things to write about at the end of 100 days. Oh my gosh, I will just be scratching the surface of things that I want to write at the end of my 100 days, in the next 89 days, or whatever that I have left. I will have just scratched the surface of things to write. I may or may not even finish all the books that I've started. And I was just thinking NaNoWriMo month, November, starts on Sunday. And I'm like, I don't even think I'm going to do that this month. I was thinking about it. I might look into it, but I was like, no, because I'm in the middle of finishing this story. I have the other 2 books that I've already written that I need to go back and revise. I have 3 other stories that I've started and not finished. And it's possible that The Fall of Espinglandia, the one that I'm writing, can actually be split into 3 stories, so that when I finish this, I can actually do 2 more runoffs of the story, which I have the beginning chapters of maybe, but not the entire story. So I would be making up brand new stuff, which would be fun. I like doing that. But then that's brand new stuff, and that has nothing to do with all the other stuff that's already in my head that still hasn't been written down, or has nothing to do with the other stuff that started and not finished either. So coming up with something brand new to do for the entire month of November, away from everything that I've already been doing, just seems like it's bad timing for me. Like it would be a bad idea. It might be fun, but I just don't feel like I have the extra time to devote to that. And I don't want to deter myself from what I'm currently doing. And I'm pretty sure over the next 89 days, I will finish this book and possibly another book. Because if they're all 24 chapters long and I do a chapter a day, I could literally write 3 books in 100 days. So there's no doubt in my mind that I will finish this book and possibly at least 1 other book, maybe 2, depending on how things go. And hopefully actually get some beta rating responses back from the 2 books that I've already done and get them revised, edited, and possibly even published in the next 89 days. I know, fingers crossed. That's probably jumping way too far ahead of things. May not happen, but wishful thinking. That is my ultimate goal, because when I'm done with this, I would like to focus on marketing. So I would like to continue my writing and my gratitudes, and then I would like to do marketing, and I would like to have something to market. Like my books. It would be nice to actually be able to market them, and my YouTube videos, obviously, to see if I can't figure out how to get them monetized. Any other source of income, so that I have more time to spend on my writing and less time having to actually go to a regular job. So, but I am grateful that my regular job is flexible and that I can start at any time during the day that I need to. And I'm not, it's not the end of the world if I go to work a couple hours later than I anticipated. It just means I have to stay out a couple hours later than I maybe want to. But as long as I can make the money that I need to pay the bills, it doesn't matter what time I go to work. I'm just trying to flip my schedule, I think, so that I can get more sleep, for 1. For 2, that I don't feel like my sleep gets interrupted or messed up when I choose to do things with other people that are awake and doing stuff during the day. And also like with my church stuff on Sundays, because I either need to be able to stay up much later so I can do church, or I need to go to bed much earlier so I can be up to do church. Because right now, church just kind of falls right in the middle of when I'm sleeping. And it makes for a very kind of crazy Sunday. Not that I'm going to stop going to church, but I also have my 12-step meetings that I have not been going to because they kind of fall in the middle of where I'm sleeping or working. And I need to figure my schedule around where I can actually start going to those as well. Again, because I haven't been doing those for a while and I need to. So lots more things for me to work on, for me to do. But I'm grateful I'm aware of the things that I'm trying to do. I'm grateful I could try something different today. And yes, I'm throwing in my little grateful gratitude things on top of my writing, because I want to continue to find things to be grateful for. And I have found when I did my gratitude videos before I went to work that, I don't know, somehow doing these videos gives me more energy and it makes me feel better and motivated and pumped up and ready to go to work, which I like, which is another reason why I wanted to do the video before I went to work instead of after work, because I don't need the pumped up motivation right before I'm trying to go to bed. It makes going to bed a little bit harder. But having the pumped up and being motivated for the day to go to work works a whole lot better. And this way I can feel good about myself because now I can cross off most of the things on my to-do list for today, except for like 3 or 4 things to do when I get home, instead of I did like 2 or 3 things before I went to work and then I have to do everything else when I get home. And I find that it's easier to do stuff before work and it's a lot harder after work because when I'm done with work, I'm like, I'm done. It's just been a long day. I'm done. So, I'm grateful I could try something different today, and I hope that it works, and I will continue to try to do that again tomorrow. So, like I said, if you see 2 videos today, it's not because I did 2 videos today, it's just because it took the stupid phone thing forever to post the video I did last night, and because I'm doing this video earlier today because I'm trying to do it before I go to work instead of after work. So, that is my goal at this point in time. So thank you for listening. If you hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they would like it too. And I hope you have a great day.